All right. We are live. Second week continue. I like it that we are, this is our second week streak. Every Saturday, 9 a.m. New York time, 6 a.m. California time. I know a lot of people pinged me like, why 6 a.m.? This is the only time we could do it. Um, but
Plus, it is good for you guys to wake up early and hang out with us.
yes, that is true. Like two beautiful faces you get to see every morning.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
every Saturday morning. Cool. Rajiv ji is our immigration lawyer. And we will start, Rajiv ji, with any new fun stuff happening in immigration world. I guess let's just throw this out because everyone is going to ask us, is third lottery happening this year for H-1B visa?
Nothing has changed between the time we talked about it last week and today.
Hmm.
I still think that it all depends upon the calculation, the accuracy of the anticipation, mathematical anticipation by the government, because they
Hmm.
kind of do the math and say, okay, if we throw out 15,000, if we bring in 15,000 applications, probably 9,000 people will apply, 6,000 will vanish. So they do the math. If their math is accurate, then probably no third lottery. But I don't think their math could be accurate because even in this round, I know a lot of people who are not applying. It was the
Hmm.
same in the first round.
Hmm.
So, because remember, the
Eh,
pool is the same. They are still
yeah.
drawing on the same pool. So,
And then the reason people are not applying is for multiple
multiple
applications.
lotteries. Some of them are actually genuine cases and they still are a little afraid of applying. That's why I'm getting a lot of
Mm,
reflection on my glasses.
mm,
So, maybe I'll just take my glasses off. A lot easier.
yeah. Do you want to push it a little? There we go. Okay. Um. Okay. Cool. Any other new things you've been hearing?
This
Another
this week has
common.
been slow. There
Oh.
wasn't too much movement in anything that the government did. Mm, Nothing on the lawsuit front, nothing on the agency announcements.
Mm,
Um, no, I don't think so. Artificial intelligence still seems to be uh, a great deal of misunderstanding associated with it. Um,
mm,
we
mm.
see even immigration related software coming up saying, oh, we have AI. And
Oh yeah. Of course.
so, what does that mean? You don't have models specially trained for immigration law. So, at best, you have very general statements, and at worst, you have hallucinations. I have seen some really odd answers from AI.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
personally, I find AI in the aid of practice works well. For example, I drew up a contract in less than 5 minutes, but of course, it took me an hour to finalize it. It's still not perfect, but it's very good. Some
Mm,
things AI does very well.
mm,
Um,
mm,
some of the creative writing was pretty impressive.
mm.
But if you think AI, just because you put the words AI in front of anything, all of a sudden it's become uh, the tome of all wisdom. It is really not. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
remember that case in New York, right, where the lawyer, this what happened was one of the lawyers in New York who was suing an airline. I think it was an airline, and for some, I don't even know
Oh,
how.
I think I remember. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
remember? So
Yeah.
this guy had ChatGPT write the brief for him, and
Yeah.
there were some
Yeah.
18 solid cases in that brief. And so the lawyer was very happy, and he filed the case. And turns out the defense side. Now these typically defense law firms specialize in just doing defense work, so they really know all the cases because that's
Yeah.
all they do. Plaintiffs'
Yeah.
lawyers do a lot of different cases. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when they looked at these cases, they said, wow, 18 cases that we had no idea and they are against us. And then they looked, there was none of these cases was real. All
Right.
these cases were made up.
Mm.
So the judge was very mad. Actually, California, many judges in California have expressly said that if you use any kind of AI in writing any briefs before us, you are responsible for the content. So you better make sure you check the content before you present it to us.
Mm.
which I
Mm.
thought was quite amusing. I
Mm.
actually had a conversation with ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT. By the way, my favorite is still Claude AI. I like Claude AI better than I like ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm talking to ChatGPT. I said, "Why do you make up things?" and it was an interesting conversation. And that said, well, it's not that I make up things. It's just that I am genuinely um, in doubt. And I said, well, is there any way for you to mark whatever information you give me on a scale of
Mm.
1 to 5? Say this possibility of truth is 1%, one, or the
Mm.
possibility of truth is 5. And they said, well, you can actually set the temperature. There are certain
Mm.
things you can do, and maybe that will improve your
Mm.
truth index.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
talking to
Yeah.
some of these people.
There is this another one which is, I think it's called Perplexity. It act
Perplexity is okay, but Perplexity is using Chat GPT, isn't it?
Yeah, but it gives you the reference where the information
But
they are
that's just
pulling
the
them.
front end. Chat GPT is that's just an API calling on Chat GPT. Okay.
Mm. Okay.
But if you really want a completely different model, then go to Claude.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
find
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Obviously.
Claude is
Yeah.
also live on the internet,
Yeah.
but Claude has its own problems. It gave
Mm.
me a false answer. I asked it for a piece of code. It gave me a wrong answer. I said, "You have a problem. This code is not correct. It cannot be correct." And so, "Oh, you're right. Give me the same code again." And then I said, "This is the same code." "Oh, you're right. I apologize. Give me the same code a third time." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I still have my
Uh,
job. I'm not going to lose my job anytime
yes.
soon."
Yes. Yes. One other common question I keep getting asked that I got picked in second lottery. When can I change employer, or when would you recommend me to change employer? So I guess we should just make this like open ended, like how to do this.
So some things I can tell you for sure.
Hmm.
And one thing I will tell you from experience. Okay. One thing I can tell you for sure, I see there should be absolutely no discrepancy about it. If you have worked for the sponsoring employer on October 1st or the first day of whatever your start date was, at least one day, you are safe to transfer. You don't have to have 3 pay stubs and you don't have to have 2 pay stubs. I'm glad you brought this up because this issue did come up several times in last week's consultations. Okay.
Hmm.
So if you have worked for the employer one day in October, you can change employers. You don't need 3 pay stubs. I also think, and this is my experience, if your H1B has not been revoked by the sponsoring employer before October 1st, you could join any employer without even joining the sponsoring employer. Okay. So
Hmm.
the first case was you have worked one day. This we know for sure.
Yeah.
Second, we know from experience. Third, also we know from experience. You can actually transfer your H1B before October 1st, as long as the sponsoring employer doesn't revoke it before October 1st.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
these are three different shades of the same scale.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
first one, you worked at least one day. In the second one, nothing was revoked until October 1st. In the third one, you jumped ship before October 1st, but you were not
Hmm.
revoked before October 1st.
Hmm.
So all of these, in my opinion, are okay. Now,
Yeah.
if you ask some of my colleagues, one lawyer gave an opinion that you have to work for the sponsoring employer at least 1 year. That's utter garbage. There is
Hmm.
no support in any regulations for that. That's an AI hallucinations. Only thing is hallucination by a lawyer.
Right. Right.
We
And
also we have a tendency to make stuff up.
yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
human nature. Sometimes we think we know the answer, and sometimes we just uh, can't bear to say, "Look, I don't know. I have to check it out."
Yeah.
Okay. So
The
that was
third
an
one.
absolute ridiculous
Right.
answer.
Yeah. But the third one is the most riskiest one, would you say?
Um, Look, the one we have talked about, where you have either not worked for the employer or where you've jumped ship before October 1st, there is nothing written by the government anywhere.
Hmm.
They've
Hmm.
never really given us a definitive opinion. When I read the statute says approved. It doesn't say approved and have worked for that employer. There is no such law. Okay. But because the government is charged with interpreting the statute that they administer, they might have some latitude in making policy. But so far, they have not graced us with anything in writing. So,
Hmm.
therefore, the second two options are not written down, but in my experience, they work fine.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. I guess we'll go to the questions from
Now I
Yash.
have to go to the last one.
Yeah. Got picked in second lottery. What are the realistic timelines? Are we still expected to follow the first
No,
October date?
no, Yash, the last time I checked on into this issue, so in the first lottery, you can't ask for a date later than October 1st because you can only ask 6 months ahead, usually. And so, but if you are filing even later, I think the government's recommendation was ask for October 1st date. But in the second lottery, there is no such recommendation.
Hmm. So, do will the change of status happen October 1st, or from the timeline perspective,
Okay,
it might happen
so
late?
the change of status can never happen before October 1st in any event.
Correct. Yeah.
But the second lottery, because it starts later, the change of status could happen if you ask for a later date. So
Hmm.
this is as far as I remember. I'm
Hmm.
not hallucinating. I remember that we could actually push the date. So remember, one rule is you can't ask for a date more than 6 months ahead of time, right?
Hmm.
So if I apply on April 1st, I can ask for October 1st. That's 6 months. But
Hmm.
what if I apply on August 1st? So that's April, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. I could ask for February 1st date. That's the way I see it.
Hmm.
As long as it is past October 1st,
Hmm. Okay.
next
Okay.
fiscal year.
Yeah. 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 Got it. Okay. Employer A is planning to send me on L1, and at same point, I got my H1B approved through consular process with employer B. How to be on L1 and use H1B petition later, even after I-797B expiry and no stamp.
I would say get your H1B stamped first. Okay. That way, there is very strong support for the position that you are out of the quota. Get your H1B stamped first. Then, when the L1 comes, go get the L1 stamped. They'll probably cancel the H1B, but we don't really care because it was stamped once. Okay. So that's the way I would handle it. Knowing the policy and the facts and the knowns and the unknowns, that's the best thing you can do. Get the H1B
Hmm.
stamped, get the L1 stamped.
Hmm. I got denial under 212A6C1 and did a lawsuit, but no help. Hmm.
So, Shivangi, we have a lot of clients that we have referred to other litigation firms because we really don't have time to litigate. That's a separate field of expertise. So we did a lot of these cases during Trump administration because we didn't have a choice. And we won out of the 15 cases we filed, 14 cases we won. They were settled within a couple of weeks because the decision making during Trump administration was extremely poor. Government lost over 80% of the cases. Okay.
Hmm.
Your problem is the 212A6C1, which is fraud, is basically first you have to track down which agency. Did USCIS say you committed fraud? Did CBP say you committed fraud? Did ICE say you committed fraud? Or did the
Hmm.
consulate say you committed fraud? There are four
Hmm.
different agencies. You track down the agency and then you act with it accordingly. The poorest case out of all these is when you try to sue the State Department, which is uh, the consulates. So,
Hmm.
consular finding of 212 A6C1, that's very difficult to win.
To fight. Yeah.
Yeah, very difficult to fight. But the people that we have referred out, two of them have called me back, said they got their approvals. So
Hmm.
it also depends upon the US attorney if
Hmm.
they want to settle the case or not.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
not much else I can recommend.
Yeah. I want to know what options are available for my son who's only having only one more chance of H1B due to lottery due next year. Okay. So,
So O1, Rameshji, depends upon whether he's a brilliant young man and he qualifies for O1. That's one option. If you've got $1 million hanging out somewhere, put that in there. Also be our friend. Um,
yes.
Third option is, of course, going back to school and going for a curricular practical training, always with the intention to enhance your career, not just to get an EAD. Join PhD program if you've already done the masters. So there are all these different options, but
Yeah.
not a whole lot.
Um, did you mention E1, EB1 as well?
Well, EB1 is right now backed up 13 years. So,
Oh, wow. So the Einstein one?
yeah.
The Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Somebody, one of our community members on LinkedIn sent me a private message, said, Rajiv, can you talk about the Cato Institute's calculations that it'll take at least 5 years for EB1s to become current again?
Hmm.
And I said, well, I have a lot of respect for Cato researchers. They're very, very smart people. They know the math a lot better than I do, frankly, because they're statisticians, they're mathematicians. I am just a hack. I go to
Hmm.
ChatGPT. So, so
Right.
therefore, I respect their math, but I don't respect the ignorance of uncertainty. Not that they are ignorant, but you cannot really ignore uncertainty in the calculations by the State Department. So you
Hmm.
never know. You could have these blips where things become current all of a sudden. So, but this is the current evaluation by the Cato Institute that it's going to take 5 years for the dates to become current.
Hmm. I just saw a question about travel on OPT. Many people are being reported as per recent news. There's another thing which came up. 21 students got, I guess, not deported, but like they were rejected on the airport and they were sent back.
I
And do
have
you
not
have any?
seen. I haven't seen anything. Nobody has reached out to me. Normally, if there is 21 people, at least one of them would have sent me an email or something saying,
Hmm.
we've got a problem. I've not heard anybody from anything. I don't know what the case is, so I can't really comment.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But you can travel on OPT. Just go to our website,
Yeah.
immigration.com, and we have shared a mind map that explains to you the various pros and cons of traveling at various stages of OPT H1B.
Yeah. Okay. On F1 OPT, can I work more than 40 hours per week?
Yeah, as long as the positions are related to your STEM degree. I always ask people to double check about the remote work. Last week, one of the students had sent me a copy of a conversation they had with Sept, and Sept said you can't work from beginning from the August session. You can't work from outside the country, but if you meet the other requirements of the law, such as supervision, etc., you can work remotely within the United States. So I haven't double checked this. This is what somebody told me. Check it with your DSO. Your DSO will tell you what the current thinking is.
Hmm. We might have already answered this, but can I transfer an H1B approved through consular process after October 1st with different employer even after
Um,
previous employer withdraws?
The key here is when was the case withdrawn? Before October 1st or after October 1st? If your case was withdrawn before October 1st, you're out of luck. But if the withdrawal occurred after October 1st, I think you can transfer
Hmm.
through consular or through change of status
Okay.
if you are in the United States.
I'm on F1 visa, currently on OPT. My wife had applied for F1 visa before marriage and it got rejected twice. Please let me know which is the best option, F1 or F2 for
Hmm.
her.
I'm assuming it was rejected on 214B grounds, which is intending immigrant. If that is the case, both options are poor options, F1 and F2. H4 is the best thing that could happen. But between the two, I think F2 may be a little bit better.
Hmm. All right. I'm on F1 OPT. Is there any risk in applying for EB2 and National Waiver before getting my OPD stamp?
Khan Sahab, what are you happy about? Tell us that first. Happy Khan. So I personally don't see any problem even before OPT. Double check the form that you file, I-765. I don't think it asks you anywhere, has anybody applied for a green card for you. So I think you should be okay.
Hmm. Okay. This is asked to me several
No,
times as well.
no,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Follow up. Can the person who has green card sponsor their parents?
yeah. Oh, no, no. They can't sponsor their parents. Sorry. They can't sponsor their parents. But typically, the way they do it is if you're a US citizen and you want to apply for your siblings, your brothers and sisters, you first apply for your parents and then they apply for the siblings. So the green card
Oh.
holder can apply for an unmarried child of any age. Green card holder can apply for an unmarried child of any age, not for parents and not for siblings.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Got it. Okay. And so you have to be a citizen to file for your
Yes.
parents and siblings. Okay.
Mhm.
If I-140 approved, EB2, married to green card holder born in
Abroad,
RO.
rest of the world.
Oh, nice. Can you cross chargeability through spouse, even though spouse is already a green card holder?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know for sure. My guess is yes.
Mm. Hmm.
Although cross chargeability was meant to bring people together so they can all migrate together.
Mm.
So, Kuriyash, I don't know the answer to the question. I think you could try. I'm trying to remember the regulation, and it doesn't say anything about green card holder or not. So, worth a shot. But have your
Mm.
lawyers double check. That's the easiest thing to do, rather than me trying to make guesses here. Yeah, that's the idea in cross chargeability. But at the same time, it doesn't specifically say that you can't be a green card holder's spouse.
Mm. All right. Can international students work voluntary jobs till they have CPT?
That's a very tough question to answer. So there are two components to volunteering. One is a prohibition on the employer, the other one is a prohibition on the employee. Prohibition on the employer comes from Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA. Fair Labor Standards Act says for-profit companies cannot take free work. Okay. Unless it is a genuine internship program. So there is the prohibition against the employer. Now against the employee. If you don't have work authorization, you should not take up anything that pays you. Can you volunteer at a job that is not a for-profit prohibited job, a real internship? Yes, you can. But then there is the school. Some schools have these rules. You can't do more than X hours per week while you're in school. So you have to check with the school what their rules are. This is an
Mm.
internal rule. I'm pretty sure that there's nothing in the regulations about it. So theoretically, yes, but it's a lot more complicated than it appears.
Mm. What about like open source projects, things like that? Like
I think
or
that's illegal because you are sitting here generating income.
no. Like for example, Firefox a browser, they have open source and they have a bug, and I'm not getting paid. I just genuinely
That's
saw a
okay.
bug.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I anticipated your question. No, that's okay.
Mm.
Definitely. Because if you are just volunteering, for example, to the open source community, that's commendable. Absolutely do it.
Probably another follow up is like, what if I made a website for someone just because I wanted to improve my website skills? Is that
I
fine?
think that's okay too, as long as there is no problem with the Fair Labor Standards Act.
Right. Got it.
But
Okay.
that's a prohibition on the employer, not on you. So you can do it.
Got it. Okay. Okay. All right. Can I permanently settle in the States after getting a Canadian passport
No,
without a visa?
no. If you enter the US without a visa as a Canadian, you are assumed to be here for 6 months no more.
Mm. Can a cancel without prejudice
No,
stamp on H1B?
no.
Wait, what does the even question mean?
So cancelled, sometimes the visa is stamped cancelled without prejudice. It simply means we are cancelling it for some technical reason.
Hmm.
not because you can't apply again.
Okay. Can employer sponsored perm
Yes,
and H1? Okay.
it's done all the time. What are the wait times these days for PUM approval? About 7 months for prevailing wage, another 4 or 5 months if you don't get audited, maybe about a year.
Okay. My L1B is going to expire in a year, and my employer is going to file perm. If I want to travel outside USA after expiry, what should I consider? Shall I carry my perm application?
There are too many questions here. I have no idea what it really means. So L1B is going to expire in a year. Is it the fifth year or is it just the first 2 years or 3 years? So if it is the fifth year, then you can't stay in the United States just because the perm has been filed. You have to leave and not come back. Okay.
Hmm.
On the other hand, you should also talk to your lawyers about converting you to L1A. Maybe you can get another 2 years of L1 work time, and the perm can go on in the meantime. So this question is impossible to answer. We don't have enough data.
Hmm. You sound like AI.
Yeah.
I cannot access the external websites.
Yeah,
Something
Claude
like
AI
that.
and ChatGPT have become my best friends. Bard also, sometimes Bard also comes through. Yesterday, Bard was the most
Do
accurate.
you have
About
the paid version or
Bard is not paid right now. Bard
no,
is
no,
free.
no, for the chat GPT?
I have the paid version.
Is it
I'm
worth
actually
it?
willing to pay more than willing to pay for Claude AI. I would
Hmm.
drop ChatGPT and take Claude AI any day.
But is it really worth it? Is it worth the $20?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Follow up. Will there be any problem during H1B or green card if working more than 40 hours per week for two companies also? Mm,
Yeah, you can work more than 40 hours during STEM OPT also, but they all have to be cleared by your DSO. So they have to file
mm,
the right forms, and DSO has to note that you are doing multiple jobs.
mm,
And there shouldn't be any problem. No
mm.
problem.
Right. I guess more volunteer question. International student work as a volunteer with US non-profit under 3CA, not getting
I have no
paid.
idea what 3CA is. Can we do more than one just to? So the problem is, Sharma ji, you have to talk to your DSO and make sure the school allows it. I already
Mm,
discussed this. I don't know if you were here, but we already talked about it, and you'll be able to hear it in the recording. It's a little complicated question, but I would begin by checking with my DSO. That's where you begin.
mm, mm. And that was his follow-up, though. How can one a profile for?
Okay, so I'll tell you something. I have actually disconnected on LinkedIn from all these engineers who are going around giving advice on EB1A.
Oh yes,
I had to
yes.
disconnect from all of them because they might be engaged in unauthorized practice of law, which is a crime. Okay.
Mm,
So I immediately, with the moment I see somebody giving legal advice, I disconnect from them because I don't want any part of it. I don't even
mm,
want to be associated with such an account. Okay.
mm,
So be careful when people tell you, look, I can get you to improve your O1. Of course, you can do the study yourself. Okay. Um, there is no quick fix in these things. Some people actually went around, hired PR firms. I don't know how far that is useful. Ultimately, in O1s and EB1As, what you're trying to prove is that you're top 10% in your profession in the country. The decile, the top 10%. That is what you're trying to prove. How do you prove that? Then they have all these mechanical processes. You have to meet 3 out of 8 actually requirement. There are 10, but 8 apply to most people. 2 are
mm,
for performers. So if somebody tells you that, look, we can help you improve your resume, first of all, I would not be associated with them because that's an unauthorized practice of law issue.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And in most
I mean,
states,
and I think people are like even making a lot of money. Like they're doing courses saying, but they're not practicing law. So I somebody asked me as well, like, can they do those courses? I was like, I don't want to recommend anything.
no. That's unauthorized practice of law is a misdemeanor. It's a crime in most
Mm,
states.
mm,
Okay. And actually, it might even be my ethical obligation to report them.
mm,
Lawyers are not only um, Not only
Mm.
are we not allowed to do unauthorized practice of law, if somebody calls me from California and says, I have this contract issue, I say, sorry, this is a state law issue. I won't touch it. I'm not admitted in California. So
Mm.
even lawyers can do unauthorized practice of law. My own family, my brother
Mm.
would call me and say, well, can you look at this contract? No, sir. I'm not a Pennsylvania lawyer. I will not look at the
Mm.
contract. Okay.
Mm.
So unauthorized practice of law is something that we have to avoid as well as discourage in others, because it's
Mm.
ultimately the people who get hurt. So all these self-taught lawyers are very dangerous. Be careful; they're dangerous to themselves. Many of them are themselves on green cards. If they get convicted of a misdemeanor, and worse, if it is a felony, then they've got a major problem.
Mm. Mm.
I sometimes I feel like sending a message out to everybody, says, guys, what are you doing? Just study the laws before you. And the problem is, when you are providing immigration advice in 50 states or clients from 50 states, then you've got a problem in 50 states. You better know the
Mm.
law in all 50 states.
Mm. Mm. Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
is.
that's please don't go with all that. Be careful with that. Are they any good? I don't know. I've never talked to them. I will never talk to them, because not that they are bad guys. It's just that I would not be seen to encourage or even support directly or indirectly unauthorized practice of law.
Yeah. 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 All right, cool. File H1B plus H4 plus H4 EAD petition concurrently in the premium processing at Nebraska. Wait, what's the question though?
So the question is bundling. So what happens is, there was a lawsuit and the government said, if you bundle everything together, we'll premium everything. But they are not doing it. That's what my team is saying.
Mm,
The team is saying sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't do it. They're supposed to do
mm, mm, mm. I guess his question was if I pursue masters after H1B. No, no. Yeah.
it.
Will
No,
my
so
H1B cancel?
Pranesh, first of all, you can actually go to school part time or even full time if you're on H1B. Okay, almost full time. So you can do both simultaneously. If you quit H1B and go to F1, you are not subject to the lottery. You can come back on H1B without going through the lottery again when you are ready.
Mm, mm. Okay. All right. Can I extend or transfer an H1B approved petition through consular processes when no STEM and I-17B expired?
You can. You
Yeah.
can. You're not required to have a change of status or extension of status.
Um, we love you too.
Hamza,
I'm a can.
uh, I'm moving to the US for my master's. Well, first of all, Hamza, smart move. You were born in Pakistan, so it won't take you forever in 10 days.
Yeah.
Probably about 3-4 years average to get your
Mm,
green card. So ask an Indian person, 1.4 billion of us, we 15 years, 18 years, something like that for green card.
mm. Well, talking about that, Rohan, Australian citizenship born in India. What are my chances of getting green card?
It's the country of birth that applies, not the country of citizenship. So you'll still
Mm,
be charged to India, Rohan. You'll have to go through the India quota, but you have that great option of E3 visa, which is like an H1B, but there's no quota on it. I mean, the
mm,
quota is never exhausted. You always have it available.
mm. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And if I
Mm,
remember correctly, E3 has no time limit. You can keep extending it.
mm, mm. Does university offer H1B generally for international students if one works full time, like a manager or in an
They
administration?
might. It depends upon the university. That's not a question that is generically applicable to all universities. So it
Hmm.
depends upon the university. I know plenty of universities with plenty of staff having H1B. Some universities won't do an H1B except for faculty, whether it is scientific faculty, research faculty, or teaching faculty. Some universities have different rules. So it all depends upon the university.
Hmm. Is there a problem for F1 student
Yeah,
visa to enter?
I think so. I think there is an issue here that you should straighten out with the DSO. I don't recall exactly what the issue and what the solution is, but I know it could be a problem. So double
Hmm.
check with your DSO.
All right. Um, okay. What will happen if my previous company background verification check fail, which is based in India, if I'm in F1 visa or H1B?
Well, when you say previous company background, if that mean experience letter, I mean, I'm not sure what that means. So if you
Hmm.
have produced an experience letter that's not verifiable, you might have a problem if you're depending upon that experience to qualify. Some people qualify based upon education only for H1B. Some people combine education with experience. So if the experience is either made up or unverifiable, you might have a problem.
Hmm. How many times can I renew my H1B?
Unlimited number of times, as long as you have certain criteria met. You still have time remaining on your H1B, or you have a green card going that gives you the right to keep extending the H1B until the priority dates become current. So pretty much many, many times.
But if they don't have a green card in process, okay.
So let's clarify that question. Okay.
Yeah.
Forget about green card filing. Somebody has a total of everybody has total of 6 years on H1B.
Hmm.
Plus whatever time you've been outside USA, you can recapture
Hmm.
that. So we go with simple math, 6 years on H1B.
Hmm.
Typically, people will apply for 3 years, then they'll apply for a 3-year extension.
Hmm.
Can you do 6 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Sure, unlimited number of times, as long as the total is six.
Okay, got it. Got it. And in that 6 years, if you are on that green card thing, then it becomes unlimited almost.
Many physicians' jobs are done on a yearly contract, so we do H1B for 1 year.
Hmm.
So we do six H1Bs rather than two. So
Hmm.
that's why we love doctors. They're wonderful.
I was just gonna say that. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Is it a marketing gimmick? Yeah. So I don't like to comment on other people's work. Some of them may be genuinely trying to help people. I don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
I just the moment I see somebody says, I'm gonna give you advice, I say, I'm disconnecting from you. I don't want to be connected to you.
yeah.
Because
Mm,
even sometimes, it's difficult for me to when people send me a request for LinkedIn, I like to connect with people if I can verify who they are. If
yeah.
somebody hasn't put their picture or there's no background, I get about 3 emails from Chinese good looking women and Korean good looking women who want to connect with me. And all of them are either presidents or CEOs or chief financial officers of companies that are non-traceable. Okay. And all of them are very interested in my qualifications because it looks like I know what I'm doing. So I have been complaining about these to LinkedIn consistently for the last 2 years because these
Mm,
are all nonsense. These are all fraud.
mm,
Okay.
mm.
And the
But
problem is,
I think they might be connecting for a different reason. Like you're like probably handsome and they want to probably
yeah,
date
sure.
you or something.
Yeah. That's what it is. There are only two people who look really good, Shahrukh Khan and me. So that's not it. It's basically just people are trying
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
exploit people who are lonely or something like that. So I don't have
True.
time to be lonely.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Shahrukh, did you see? I mean, I don't know. Do you see Bollywood movies?
Oh, I love Bollywood movies. They are the
Okay.
stupidest thing ever. But I like South Indian movies even better, much better. Like, I've been
I
watching South
love.
Indian dubbed movies for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I love them too.
I've seen pretty much every one of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shah Rukh Khan's new movie trailer came out, like Jawan. I don't know if you've seen it or not. It's really good. I'm
They
excited to
overdo
see it.
things, man. They overdo things. So no, Shah Rukh Khan is not my favorite actor. Never
Okay,
was.
okay, okay.
Um, he pretty much has. And my sisters would kill me if they heard me talk. Uh, I said, listen, all respect to Shah Rukh Khan. I know he's a very talented young man.
Yeah.
Uh, but I told my sister says, but he's so good looking. I said, you come with me to Ludhiana. Okay. Every third guy looks like Shah Rukh Khan. Number one.
Yeah,
Number
yeah.
two, she says, well, he's such a good actor. I said, he's a terrible actor. All he does is this. he has no variety in his acting. Uh, who are
But
the good
I
actors?
think
I like Abhishek. Abhishek is a very good actor
Abhishek
because
Bachchan.
yeah, because think about his
Okay.
role. He acts a villain. He does a great job as a comedian. He does a great job as a romantic lead. He does a
Mm,
great job. What was that movie in which he did Dhirubhai Ambani? He
Oh
did.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
such a good
yeah.
actor. That guy is
Right.
tremendous. And then
Yeah.
you take these guys, Shahrukh Khan, and I like Amir Khan. I mean, I can't say that there's anything I dislike about Amir Khan.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
Shahrukh
Yeah.
Shahrukh Khan
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
people who like him, and I don't know for whatever reason. He has some charm,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
guys. I apologize if I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
yeah, yeah. I think people are gonna be offended, but I think recently his movies are like a little different. Like he's into like thriller and action. So anyway, you should see the trailer.
I couldn't.
That's
I Pathan. I After 10 minutes, I stopped. I said, "This is destroying my
oh, that's
IQ. I can't watch
yeah,
any more of
yeah,
this."
yeah.
So
Yeah.
no, I didn't.
My
I didn't
God.
like that. What was
You should be like a professional roaster.
it's awful movies, awful movies. Um, the web series are so much better.
Yeah, yeah,
Have you
yeah,
seen
yeah.
Panchayat? What a simple show. Um,
Yeah, I
on
love the actor.
what a pretty little story. Such a
Yeah,
simple show. Nothing
yeah.
complicated about it.
No,
Simple human relationships.
it's just the
They
pure
spent very little
writing.
money on it too.
Yeah, yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's not
Yep.
like it's a blockbuster.
Yeah,
So I love that
yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah.
Good job, guys, Panchayat people.
All right. Let's see. How can we contact guidance for H1B or other visa? You can just join this session, or Rajiv ji
Yeah, just
hosts.
come here, or we have community conference calls every Thursday. Sometimes I do more than one Thursday, simply because, like last time also, I think there were 40 people I couldn't get to,
Hmm.
or over 20 people for sure. I don't remember how many.
Hmm.
Does my
Um.
son qualify for? No, just because you have a degree from Stanford doesn't mean you qualify for EB1. EB1, are you one of the top 10% in your field in the United States? That's the simple question. Okay. Now, the tricky question is, what is my field?
Hmm.
In EB1B, a field is defined. A field is that in which you can get a degree. Okay. So you can get a degree in, for example, quantum mechanics, but you can't get a degree in quantum tunneling. That's a subphenomenon. There is no degree in
Hmm.
quantum tunneling or quantum
Hmm.
entanglement. Okay. However, for EB1A, there is no definition. I have used EB1As where people were experts in multiple fields. For example, a scientist who invented some molecules, who then became um, a patent expert, and who then
Hmm.
became a commercialization expert. So we have somebody who has expertise in three fields: science, intellectual property, and how to commercialize intellectual property.
Hmm.
And we won
Hmm.
that case. So you could actually have cross-functional expertise. So far, that appears to be okay.
Hmm. Okay.
So top 10% in your field, whatever that field is.
Um.
Oh, good. That's excellent. So you got your approval at the same time. Yeah, because my team was saying they are not doing it consistently. In some cases, they are delaying the EADs. So I talked to the company, and the company said, "Well, what is the solution?" And I said, "Well, we can remind the government that they are in contempt of court." And one of my colleagues said, "The problem is not that they don't know it's contempt of court. The problem is, to address contempt of court, you have to go to court. How many companies
Yeah.
want to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
True. My master's took 5 semesters instead of 4 because of my thesis. Will I still get 1 year of OPT and 2 years of STEM
Yeah,
extension?
you should. You should, Dave. Double check with your DSO. Um, as long as you were maintaining full-time status and your degree took a little longer than expected. Like for me, when I was in law school, I finished 2 years program in a year and a half, but the last semester I had only 4 credits left because I wanted to prepare for the bar exam.
Hmm.
So something like that in your case, I don't know exactly what your case is, but as long as
Hmm.
you are maintaining status, you should be entitled to your OPT.
Okay. Last couple questions. My son applied H1B for first lottery, did not got qualified. So does he need to apply again for the
No,
third lottery if that
no,
happens again?
they'll draw, Manjusha ji, they'll draw from the same pool, which is already there. People
And
who
my
already applied.
second son joined his employment from August 3rd. So does he? Oh yeah, okay. Does he apply? Is he eligible for
No, they'll
third?
only draw on the already existing pool.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. My son H1B September visa September 30 expires, and he's not. He doesn't have any job. So please help if H. What? Not sure what that means.
What can we do, Rajeshi? I am a lawyer. UD is an influencer and a good-looking young man. We can't trade
Not
on
as looking
many of
as
these
looking
skills.
as yeah, not as good looking as you.
That's no.
Can I be unpaid full time on
Yes,
initial OPT?
yes, Suhashi, you can be. There's no law that says during the first year of OPT you must be paid. You must work at least 20 hours in your own field, and you must be able to document it. But payment is not required.
Hmm. And for SAM extension, you need it.
No. Oh,
Oh,
yeah. If you are on STEM, yeah, on STEM, not only must you be paid, you must be paid the prevailing wage. And STEM jobs can also be 20 hours.
hmm. And verified as well, right?
Well, otherwise the employer can't apply.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. Oh, don't have any questions. Wanted to thank you. Thank you. Rajiv, you
You are
wakes me
very
up at like
welcome. We have a lot of fun
6
with you
a.m.
guys.
Yeah.
And if I say something silly, just ignore it. I just like to make fun of things. I don't like things to be too serious.
Yes. He also wakes me up at 6 a.m. in Saturday
That's true.
morning.
I'm sure your wife is very thrilled with that. I know your
Sh-
puppy would be. Your dog is like, oh, this is great. This is like
he
being
is.
on
Yeah. Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah. I woke up at 5:30 and he was like looking at me. He's like, today it seems a little different, but he was happy.
Oh
So,
man, I was dog sitting for a very dear friend of mine. So I went to
yeah,
her
I
house and they
remember
were
you
all.
showed the photo. Yeah.
I showed you the pictures, right? So this
Yeah.
dog, this poor dog, I changed his schedule completely. The second day I was with him, this dog used to wake up at 10 o'clock. With me, he's up at 3:30. He's ready to go and he's running around. He's okay, let's go out,
Mm.
let's go out. 4 o'clock, we are on the road. We do 1 hour walk, we come back. In the evening, again, he does 1 hour walk. And when they came back, they said, "What happened to this dog? He looks similar than when we left him." I said, "Well, he was in military school while you were gone."
Yeah, yeah. Probably now your friends are upset with you because the dog is
No, no, no.
demanding that.
This dog is so interesting. He is extremely flexible. So
Mm,
sometimes he goes and lives with one of his brothers. They'll come and take him. One of his brothers goes to Duke Medical School. Another brother is a lawyer in New York. So the lawyer will come and pick him up, say, "I'm taking him for a month." And
mm,
then he adjusts there. He goes to North Carolina, he adjusts there. Then he's in military school, he adjusts there.
mm, mm.
Yeah, dogs are a great fun to hang out with. No question about it.
Yeah, I love them. All right, last two questions. For EB1, how strong is the case for a senior data scientist, specifically in credit finance?
So I've done a bunch of cases for the industry. There's a different approach when you're in the academia, and there's a different approach if you're in the industry. In the industry, three things are almost always there, and that's how I win these cases mostly. Number one, you would have performed leadership or critical role for distinguished organizations, whether as a direct employee or as a contractor. So let's say you helped digitize or modernize a company. Let's call the company, I'm trying to think of a good name. Let's say Goodyear Tires. Okay. Goodyear Tires is a well known company. You went and worked for them as a contractor, and you migrated them from IBM mainframes to modern technologies. Okay, let's say SAP. You converted them to a nice ERP.
Mm,
Now, this is a distinguished or critical role. This is a leadership or a critical role for distinguished organization. So you met
mm,
one criterion. Second criterion, almost always you would have done peer review as a part of your job. because you look at other people's skills. This design is not right. Let's change this here. This architecture is not good. Maybe we need to use, maybe nobody knows how to use COBOL anymore. We should go with something more modern. Okay. So things
Yeah.
like that, right? So
Mm,
we can take that. And the third is most people are making very good money, especially if you're in ERP technologies. If you're in
mm,
financial technology, fintech is another example. So I can
mm,
get these three criteria and usually get you through.
mm, Interesting. Okay. Mustafa is impatient and is keep commenting. Here we go, Mustafa. I was on F1 visa and I filed my H1B. Was approved in change of status. Can I be on F1 rather than using my H1B?
No, no.
I have.
If you have gotten a change of status approved, then October 1st, you'll be automatically, or whatever the start date is, you will automatically be changed. You can't be on F1.
Hmm,
So
hmm,
what you would have to do is to convert it back to the consular processing. I don't know how you would do it. I can't think of any good way to do it now. So you've got your change of status effective October 1st. Can you withdraw just the change of status? I don't know of any way to do that. Because if you
hmm.
withdraw the H1B, then the entire H1B is gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So one thing you can do though, I just thought of that. So what you can do is, if you still have a visa stamp, October 1st, travel outside, come back with F1 visa. Now you are back on F1. However, does that destroy your OPT? Yeah, actually it does. You can talk to your school. Normally, the moment you file with a change of status, the school gets notification and they suspend your service and they issue you a new I-20 for cap extension. Okay. If the H-1B is withdrawn before October 1st or denied, they can then uh, revive your service, your suspended service. But I don't think it can be done in change of status approved cases. I can't think of any way to do it. So I think you have to let go of the F1. And Mustafa, I wouldn't fool around with it. Getting into the lottery is such a precious benefit with what
Hmm.
20% chances, less than 20%, 16% chances. Why
Yeah.
let it go? I would just
Yeah.
stick with it. Don't fool around with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. All right, one last question. I have done mechanical engineering in India. Can I do masters in
Yes,
computer
yes, yes,
science?
yes.
Will that create
Absolutely.
any?
By the way, Joy, um, in the United States, in my experience, control systems are big. And somebody with mechanical or electrical, and on top of that, software background becomes quite precious in control systems. So, robotic
Hmm,
control systems, satellite control systems, industrial control systems, and these are pretty big in the United States, to the best of my knowledge.
hmm. Okay, cool. I think that was it. Are you doing anything for long weekend?
I have to work at least one day complete. But suddenly I was thinking about my first H1B that I ever did was for a control systems engineer,
Hmm.
somebody who was doing satellite control systems. First
Hmm.
H1. After that, we did a bunch of H1Bs for scientists from space station. There was a space station here in
Wow.
Virginia.
Yeah.
So they hired a lot of scientists. And
Nice.
that's when I learned Unix because we could mail. This is back in 1993. So we could use
Mm,
mail. I don't know if you probably have never even used those systems, Pico, and
no.
uh, there was what was that? I forgot the name of the editor. V something. So
Oh,
all these
VS Code.
no, VS Code is different. I'm talking about Unix-based editors,
Oh,
which were
I
not
have no idea.
graphical user interface. You actually
Yeah.
had to know a lot of commands and learn how to put the commands in.
Hmm.
So I learned
Hmm.
that way back when. And first time I heard about a graphical user interface to the internet, I thought that was such a crazy idea. So BG Mahesh, one of my friends, who's a pretty big
Some
entrepreneur, he
Anil
told me,
said Vim. Was it Vim?
no, no, Anil. Um, Emacs, was Emacs an editor? I don't remember. They were Pine and Pico. When Pine and Pico came, we thought, oh my God, this is so good because they were a lot more user friendly. But the
Yeah.
ones before them were like learning
Horrible.
Urdu. You had to learn a totally new language. So
Right,
that's how we
right.
got immigration.com, because somebody said,
Mm.
oh, it's coming. So BG said, why don't you get yourself some domains? I said, okay. So I got immigration.com and businesslaw.com, which were our main areas. And
Mm.
about a year later, somebody offered me a lot of money for immigration.com. No, we are okay. You
Mm.
don't sell
Yeah,
your babies.
yeah. All right, awesome. Well, enjoy the weekend. I mean, you work anyway, so enjoy
No,
your work.
work is fun too. Work is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So,
I love
are
work
you
too.
guys
Yep.
planning something? Are you out of town? Or are you staying in town?
Um, no, we are staying in town. We were supposed to go, but we didn't book it. And then when we called, they said we booked out. So, all right, let's just not go. So we're gonna
Well,
just chill.
you can't do even a road trip because you could get stuck in such bad traffic.
Yeah, true.
You
Yeah,
know,
because
unless you
everyone
did
is out.
something Saturday, Sunday, and just came back Sunday, left today and came back a Sunday.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. So we're just gonna stick around, and I don't know if I should. I'll send you like a photos, but I built a gym in my garage because
Oh,
I'm lazy to go to gym.
are
so
you doing
so
free weights or machines?
free weights. I mean, there is free weights and there's one like cable machine, but that cable machine pretty much has everything. And but the problem is the garage is like it's not insulated, so I think we are getting the code to get it insulated and sealed up, because there's like dust and everything, so we'll see how that.
You should also have at least one rubberized area, because if you are doing certain exercises, you may have to drop the weight.
Yeah,
So,
right. So the flooring is all like I have those rubber mats, so
oh, good,
yeah. And
excellent.
it's not it's actually not like the rubber mats. There's a hack, cheaper version of it. It's a horse mats, because horses are so heavy. So people recommend this use horse mat instead of like gym
Oh, really?
mats.
I've never heard of
Yeah,
that. So our building has a wonderful gym. We have
yeah,
everything that you can think of. Every third day, I
yeah.
hurt myself doing something new. So,
Nice. All right, cool. Well, have fun, everybody. We'll talk next Saturday.
take
Thanks,
care,
everyone.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.